pass you over to Chris. Chris is the CEO of Stakeholder Gold. I like this company. Actually, I love this company for a lot of reasons. As I say, I've told you about Chalice, told you about Arizona. I feel comfortable talking about Stakeholder because they're actually generating cash, which is very unusual for a junior mining company. So perhaps I can pass over to Chris and you can just give a bit of background about Stakeholder, and then we may have some questions at the end.
Very good. Thank you very much, Simon. Okay, great. Thank you, Simon. Thanks for the opportunity here. Okay, just very briefly. So I'm Chris Berlet. I'm a mining engineer by training. I also have finance experience in London, and I'm a graduate of the London School of Economics. I've basically been doing mining business on and off for 30 years. Been a student of this market, the junior exploration market. Had some big wins in different metal types, and had some hits. You know, had some situations that didn't work out. So in that process, I've looked very carefully at how wealth is created, consistently for winners, and the conclusion that we've come to is that really these exploration companies in our model, there are many very high quality projects that can yield to significant metal discoveries and really substantial wealth creation opportunities. But they also have a dilution issue in that if there's no cash flow, it costs $250,000 to run a public company, and you have ongoing expenses always during this exploration. So, you know, the concern then becomes diluting the relative interest while you pursue your exploration and look for your discovery. And if you can control that process by developing cash flow, you can create per share value, and then have substantial wealth creation initiatives for your shareholders. So that's our model. That's what we've sought to do here. In Stakeholder case particular, we've been involved since 2013. We have a project, a substantial gold project in the Yukon territory of Canada in the White Gold District. That's one of two leading jurisdictions today for gold investment in Canada, and gold exploration, gold discovery, wealth creation. And we have also combined that through our steady process with a cash flow operation from quartzite in Brazil, which is starting to far exceed our expectations. Generating cash, expected to generate quite significantly more cash. So that's our model. I'll run you through the company. We have control of the treasury shares, and we look for wealth creation from this combination of assets and Stakeholder. There's our disclaimer. So here's the summary. We just went through gold discovery potential in the Yukon, very significant upside potential in the Yukon, undervalued gold asset, and cash flow strategy. Disciplined capital structure, cash flow, and then the potential for discovery in the Yukon. Here's our capital structure, 12 million shares. We have no requirement to issue shares at this point. We have no warrants outstanding any longer. We have cash in the treasury, and we have our cash flow projects now. We have 500,000 options are outstanding to the president of BMC, who's our subsidiary in Brazil that generates this cash flow. So are fully diluted, and we don't see this share structure changing anytime soon. As a consequence of our confidence, we have very high insider ownership today. We consistent buyers of our shares at these valuations, and I'll explain and show you why. So here's our, this is year one. We just completing year one of our first quarry in Brazil. In Q1, we had the revenue 500,000 Canadian. By Q4, we were over a million Canadian dollars. So we have increasing cash flow. We have no debt, and we have no encumbrances, no contracts, no liens against the company. All accretes to shareholders. We expect this quarry to be able to increase from here to maybe in the range of 1.5+ million per quarter in gross revenue, more than half of which returns to shareholders. So in the form of dividends to our Toronto head corporation, covering all of the expensive, very high margin business, and very, very profitable with increasing growth profile. This is one quarry. This is what we expect in 2022. First of all, our extraction cost is about $300 US dollars per cubic meter. Our sale price has been $1,750, averaged in 2021. That's increasing to $2,300. Not one of our sellers has said no, and we told them all we're increasing prices because our demand is over and above what we can supply at this stage. 2021, we averaged 200 cubic meters per month, and we expect to be that to head to at a stable rate of 400 cubic meters per month for this quarry in 2022. So basically, the increasing prices shows pricing power. Any student of economics will tell you when you have pricing power, you've got very compelling characteristics. And there's a lot of demand for this material. You can see an example there. You can see what the material looks like, this blue exotic quartzite. We're selling to the US, we're selling to Italy, Europe, and the Middle East. And we've got new buyers that have come out on many new buyers recently. There's one particular quarry that was supplying projects in Italy that basically started to run down last year, and they've determined to take all their new supply of this exotic blue quartzite from this quarry that we have in Brazil. So we continue to have new buyers. There's a robust demand. There's no problems with us increasing our prices, and it's very, very profitable. Higher margin business than I've been able to see in other businesses. This is what the material looks like. This is at a warehouse in Florida where we're selling it. This is significant further margin from where we sell our blocks on site. But in the first half of 2022, we're going to start 2 new quarries in Brazil, other quarries that we already have made deals on. We're going through the permitting process now, expect to have first production by the end of the first quarter, which is March, the end of next month. And then we'll have another 2 quarries that are already in the line in the second half of 2022. So we expect these quarries also to provide this high margin and increasing revenue from what will ultimately be expected to be no less than 5 quarries by the end of 2022. We're also pursuing wholesale contractors developing directly. This is condo developers and other large building companies. So we're talking to them, and it's very possible that we're going to be able to secure much more substantial orders than what we've been selling to date, directly to the wholesale buyer. So that we're taking this type of material that you see here again in Florida, and we're also getting involved in the stone cutting because there's a tremendous amount of margin still from where we sell the product as block on site in Brazil to where they cut it and sell it like this in the warehouses in the United States, in the Middle East, and in Europe, etc. So additional quarries, margin expansion, and wholesale clients in 2022 is going to increase the cash flow beyond the projections that we had, well, the numbers that we have for 2021 throughout 2022. Now, this is our gold project. So we have the cash flow side generating cash flow for our shareholders. And just quickly before I move on into the valuation of gold, let's say that our kind of aspiration is by Q3, Q4, we're thinking maybe $1 million a month. That would make the stock today at 80 cents with 12 million shares outstanding, be trading less than 1 times earnings, future projected earnings for 2022. So that's the cash flow side with robust cash flow that will allow us to develop business and conduct exploration without diluting our shareholder base. This is the project, the gold asset that the company also owns, and this is in the Yukon territory of Canada. So I'll show you a diagram. This is the claim set. I'll come back to this in a sec, but I'll just come back to this slide. So we own 100% of this project. It's located due north. It's in the White Gold District of Canada, which, as I mentioned, is one of 2 very hot gold districts for exploration and development today in Canada, the other being in Newfoundland. The coffee project south of our claims, Ballarat claims, sold for 536 million Canadian dollars in 2016. The White Gold Corporation, which surrounds our claims, is trading today at $105 million market cap, and that surrounds to the east and north. And the market cap of Stakeholder, the assets that we have, the 7,000 hectares in the middle of the White Gold district, traded at a $17 million valuation in 2014. Today, it's trading at a $10 million valuation. And that is based, that's still less than 1 times projected earnings based on the cash flow that we're expecting. And yet this gold asset represents a significant value potential against, as can be indicated by the comparables in the vicinity. So this is where we're at. This is our property in red. There's some important things to note here. Number one, 7,000 hectares. The yellow property here, Coffee, is the one that sold for 536 million Canadian. You know, I bring back our market cap's 10 million. This sold for 536 million, and to the biggest balance sheet in the gold business today, which is Newmont. And they bought these purple claims in 2019. So they're still acquisitive in the area and very interested in acquiring. And two of the other biggest balance sheets in the gold business are participants in the green area, which is the white gold district, trades at 105 million market cap. So we're the red area, that's 7,000 hectares. There's 10 claims that we own inside the Coffee project that were a result from the competitive staking that happened when the whole process went bid in 2011, and there was a staking rush. We also own this 7,000 hectares, which was staked principally because of the Ballarat Creek here, which was, this is the Yukon River, and the Ballarat Creek feeding into the Yukon River was the most prolific placer gold mining area in the Yukon River. And the gold in that creek comes from the headwaters on the Ballarat property. So there's gold deposits in there. And that's why this was, there was a staking initiative there prior to 2011. The other thing that you can see from here is there's a major road being constructed through the property now towards the white gold area. Terribly sorry. So that's that. I'm going to go to the next one here. This is the 7,000 hectares. You can see the road coming down through. You can see Ballarat Creek where the 20,000 plus ounces, that's $50 million Canadian of gold came out from placer mining in this creek, and the gold zones on this property topographically have to have been the source. So that was the original interest. There's gold assets on the property, and this 11-kilometer road is important also because it's the main road that's going down from Dawson City being constructed down to the Coffee property. It reduces our drilling costs, reduce our exploration costs, and it's a strategic concern. So again, you know, the biggest balance sheet in the business are our neighbors. And Due South is the biggest balance sheet in the gold business at $40+ billion. And not only do we have claims within their group, but we have these claims with gold exploration assets and a very significant infrastructure piece, which is 11 kilometers of road coming through the ground on this Ballarat claim. So this is the summary. We own 10 exploration claims within Newmont's Coffee project. We have 11 kilometers of road being constructed through the Coffee, through the Northern Gateway Road, through the stakeholder claims. And we know that Ballarat Creek produced 20,000 ounces of gold, the source of which, the gold deposit source of which is on the Ballarat property. So there is significant exploration potential there. There's untested gold anomalies at 7,440 hectares. Newmont, Agnico Eagle, our neighbors, and they're recent investors, and they continue to invest. So the definite, genuine, and ongoing current interest in the white gold district of the Yukon Territory, Canada, and we're right in the middle of it. This is our management group. So I'm a mining engineer, as I mentioned. Marcus Chase is an engineer also, multilingual, has built quarries in Brazil, and is delivering this outstanding success that we're having with the blue quartzite and then the further quarries that we're adding. And then Rob has developed a lot of business for us and been a fantastic fundraiser, and we've got a good corporate team. So that's the full summary. I think I think that's the full extent of the presentation for pardon me, for the company, and I think that that would bring us back to the share situation. So just before I hand it quickly back over to you, Simon, you know, with those further quarries coming online and the results that we're receiving from the current exotic blue quartzite that's quarry that we're operating in Brazil, we anticipate there's a chance that we'll have net income in the range of $1 million a month by Q3, maybe the end of Q3, September, or Q4 of 2022. that would mean that today we're trading at about 0.8 times earnings, projected earnings. So a deep discount to protected cash flow and cash flow potential and earnings potential. But also we have this undervalued gold asset in the Yukon that is kind of like a sleeper. And it's because we haven't made news on it since 2016. It's like owning land in the middle of Manhattan, where they've built all the skyscrapers around you, but and our land is still there. And someday there's going to be a bid for it, or we're going to go back to exploration and find a significant gold deposit, and then our valuation would close the gap between its $10 million valuation today and the 100 million for the one neighbor and the 500 million for the other neighbor. So we see there's significant upside potential from the Ballarat asset, and that's why we're so confident. That's why you see insider buying today of shares, and we have a great deal of confidence in being able to deliver further returns in the future. That's it. So thank you very much, Simon.
Thanks, Chris. Obviously, I think you can see why I like the share so much, like the company so much. Just a couple of housekeeping points. Obviously, these are ideas, so please don't take anything as a cash flow forecast. This is simply an idea just for us to have a think about. One thing that you didn't mention, Chris, which would be grateful if you did, is could you just give us an idea of the mine life of the quarries? Because I know that when we've had previous conversations, they're pretty long.
Oh yeah. Okay, sure. This is a batholith, is the geological structure. So they're large. Batholiths are massive intrusive bodies in the range of billions of tons. The problem, I mean, the mine life against 400 cubic meters a month is, beyond the scope of it's very large. It's long. The limitation will be the level at which we decide to produce that we think the market can sustain with the very good margins that we want on this. So 400 cubic meters a month, we might 500 might be possible. 400 cubic meters a month, there's very robust demand, and the margins are fantastic. So our cost is $300 per cubic meter, and we're selling it for now $2,300 per cubic meter.
So would it be fair to say that mine life is probably at least 40, 50 years if the demand is there?
Yeah.
Okay. It's just to give people an idea as to how long this cash flow could go if the demand is there. No, that's fantastic. Now I think everyone's on mute. So if you've got any questions,
send them over to me directly.
Yeah, perhaps.
I've already actually received a couple of questions. This question is for Chris. Chris, what's the ESG situation in Brazil? Could you expand
the ESG
situation in Brazil?
Okay. Well, it's a good question. In fact, we're very, very, very staunch advocates, Marcus in particular. So we are we're using diesel generators for ourselves right now for power on the site, but we're actually replacing with solar panels there for the first quarry in the next month, and then we'll use it for all subsequent quarries. We're great and we're very, very proactive in our community, and we also have an initiative in place. You're going to see. I'm speaking out of turn here, but it's a good question. I don't know who asked it, but we're calculating scope 1, scope 2, scope 3 emissions for Stakeholder. We've got the spreadsheets. We're doing all those calculations now, and we'll report them in our financials in Q1 for the first time. We're also we've costed out basically planting trees that will and carbon equations for it that will allow us to eliminate our carbon emissions. So first, we're going to calculate, report in our financial statements our CO2 footprint, and we're going to be able to plant sufficient trees with our own money at an extremely marginal cost to make us carbon neutral. So, and then we're using solar panel cells. We're replacing diesel wherever possible, and ultimately we'll replace the diesel vehicles. We're also creating a warehouse closer to Vittorio because we're going to be supplying from multiple quarries. So that will save about 4 hours of commute for our buyers, and there's a number of other initiatives. So if I hope that answers the question. That answer is how Stakeholder is addressing ESG in Brazil. And I think maybe that was the question. I'm hoping that was the question. So.
And the follow-up question to that is, could you expand your exploration plans for Ballarat?
Good question also. Okay, so yes, it's a sleeper. It's 2016, we haven't done work on it. I think we'll make some news in March that we'll go back on it. There's two possibilities. One is where this undeveloped acreage in the middle of Manhattan, somebody says, boy, we could have that, you know, for a price that's going to be multiples of what we have today. But if they don't do that, then it's incumbent on us to create value for our shareholders for an asset that we know it has value and is undervalued. So we'll start that process again in this year. In March, we'll make some news about undertaking exploration on Ballarat with you know, in the summer of 2022, and we'll probably start with further soils on the south to identify further gold anomalies on surface that would merit drilling. That's probably the extent of our activities, but it'll be very compelling if we find further gold anomalous areas within that 7,000 hectares. We'll also knock on the door of Newmont and tell them that we want to go down and look at our claims within their property position, the 10 claims that we have down there that were staked for a very specific reason back in the day. So that's our immediate plans for exploration on stake in Ballarat.
Great. Now I
So
have
just one other point that I meant to say: if anyone wants to buy any shares in Stakeholder, there were 2 points really. First of all, I use Interactive Investor. I'd suggest you look at them. I'm not allowed to advise you, but I just want to tell you what I do. You can't buy them on all the exchanges, but I know you can get them on Interactive Investor. The second point is, surprise, surprise, not many people want to sell the shares. So don't put in a market order, put in a limit order. I typically would probably go just a bit above whatever the bid price is to entice someone to sell to you. But not everyone wants to sell the stock, so you may have to entice someone to sell it to you. And so don't be surprised if your order doesn't get filled. But I would suggest going a few cents over the current bid price if you really want to get hold of the stocks. Otherwise, you could end up spending quite a lot of money on brokers' fees for a relatively modest investment. Please be careful when you're buying stuff. Sorry, back to you, Kay.
Based on that, I have another question for Chris. Are there any plans of uplisting?
I'm sorry, what's the question, Kay?
Are there any plans of uplisting?
Uplisting. Okay, so that's another good question. You see, uplisting, the advantage being today we're on the venture exchange, we would uplist to the Toronto Stock Exchange main board. There are criteria, but we will meet those criteria definitely with the expansions that we have projected for Brazil. So pursuant to that, we will, uplisting will be very beneficial for our shareholders, our shareholder base, liquidity of the shares, and our valuation. We get much closer to a more realistic multiple of earnings than the discount to earnings that we're or projected earnings that we're trading at today. So the answer would be yes, when we qualify, and we're going to qualify this year within the first 6 months, given the expected increases in revenue and net income. So then we'll begin that process in the second half of 2022, and because we will comply with all of the requirements of listing up to the TSX.
I have one last question for Chris. What currency exposure risk do you have?
Okay, so pretty good question also, but I mean, first of all, we're Canadian dollars. Exploration in Canada will be Canadian dollars. The real in Brazil is reasonably, it's volatile compared to euro dollar, etc. It's within a 20%, 25% volatility range. And what we do is we sell our product in reais and convert to Canadian dollars basically twice a month. So we don't carry exposure to the Brazilian real, and all of our costs are in reais. Our buyers, as I suggest, are basically outside of Brazil for the most part. So their interest is not a function of, their interest is robust as we can see, but also, the pricing in the US is in US dollars. There's lots of demand in US dollars and our costs are in reais. But we convert our net income and revenue to Canadian dollars twice a month with everything that we have that's left over. So we don't keep money sitting around in here. So we try to control any currency exposure that way.
Okay.
Very good.
Actually, there is a follow-up question to that. How do you forecast to expand your distribution?
Okay, so for instance, we looked at the Canadian market, and there's this material. There's lots of genuine interest here. This is the second most active condo development in North America. The most active actually in Toronto, second in Vancouver, and then Austin, Texas. So that's where we're going to wholesale buyers and retail. So we're going to be shipping blocks up here and selling. We're also going to be processing because there's significant margin that we're leaving on the table. Even at selling at $2,300 per cubic meter, we're leaving a lot on the table. Surprising as that may be. So we're going to be doing that. We've also met with some buyers in Florida who are retail buyers that will, and we're looking to expand their network. When I went into the shop in Florida, I wanted to look at our material, which is in Florida. It's called Ocean Fantasy, this blue exotic quartzite that we have extended from Brazil. And I didn't tell them that I had the quarry or anything like that. A big distribution house. And I said, do you have a material called Ocean Fantasy? She said, yes. And I said, well, can I have a look at it? She said, yes, but it's in the back. So I said, well, can I see it? She said, yes, I'll take it. So I went there, and she said, I said, well, why is it back here? She said, because it's sold out. We got 2 shipments. It's all sold out, and there were 2 additional, and we don't want to have it in the front because we got to make sure we can get more. And I said, well, I tell you that we run the quarry, and I'll make sure you get more. But that's very good news. She said the blue material is selling very quickly, and there's a tremendous demand for it. So we see that in the pricing power that we have, and then telling our buyers that we're going from $1,800, $1,700, $1,500, $1,800 per cubic meter to $2,300, and they don't bat an eye. And we know there's a lot left on the table, and we're also establishing inroads directly with the sellers, the retail sellers in markets like Florida for the time being. And then my colleague who operates Brazil is going to spend some time in Europe doing effectively the same thing. And I think that answers that question.
Thank you, Chris. Now I have some questions for Simon. Simon, could you please let us know how your report works?
Yeah, sure. What it is, basically, it's a weekly report. I give a new idea a month. So obviously, a while ago I gave stakeholder, and then I broke it down using my bridge system. So balance sheet, resources, infrastructure, diversification grade, exploration potential, and kind of explained why I like it. And I get I do a lot for Mines and Money and various other conferences. So I get a lot of people approaching me, asking for ideas. So, I sift through a lot of companies, and I basically say no to the vast majority of them, but the ones I like, I put through this system. So basically you get a new idea once a month, and then the other 3 or 4 editions that month are really updates on previous ideas.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. How often can someone receive your report?
They get it once a week.
Oh,
and
okay.
I have phone calls with people. To be honest, the issue tends to be if a stock is doing really well, like Arizona or Chalice. I get people phoning me up, and it's more about psychology. I think the ideas are probably only, 40-50% of the value people are getting. People phone me up, and then I can explain why I think the shares are going up. Sometimes it's because they've had a fantastic discovery or something like that. Other times there's been a really good discovery nearby, and so it's more to do with noise. Arizona Lithium is a great example. Lithium price has gone absolutely bananas, and so Arizona Lithium share price has gone crazy, probably as a result of that. So I'm more nervous about that company because it's more to do with the lithium price than I am, let's say, a Chalice, which is due to a massive discovery. So I'd say there's more of a backbone behind Chalice's share price than there is perhaps Arizona's.
Thank you. And what can I expect from the reports?
Well, basically, what you can expect is several things. First of all, you get the ideas. So I've been in the industry for 20 years. I've written newsletters for Money Week, Agora owned Stansbury, Casey Research, one of the world's largest newsletter writers. So you're kind of getting my expertise. It's my own business, so I can talk to you. I can say what I want to you, so we can have a very open dialogue. But I want to educate you. I want to teach you how to look at investments. And I really specialize in mining investments, but sometimes people are like, well, how should I look at this or that? And I'm happy if I've got an opinion, I'm happy to share it.
Thank you, Simon. I have another question for Chris. Is transport of the quartz material difficult due to COVID?
There was
with the supply chain issue?
There was a brief period where we were concerned about shipping, but the basic answer is no, that we have not been affected by that. And we've scouted and buying a property in Vittorio, which is about 4 hours from our quarry, where we're going to be taking blocks, because the other quarries that we're going to open will also provide material there, and our buyers are principally based in Vittorio. So they'll be able to review all of our material from our different quarries at one location. A bigger issue sometimes is rain than COVID, but for the most part, operating has not been affected adversely for the most part from COVID. No.
Okay, thank you. Well, that'll be all.
Great. Well, look, thank you very much, everyone. I hope you found this useful. If you do decide, having discussed this with your financial advisor, to invest in Stakeholder, please use a limit price, because normally people want to sell the shares. So if you go with a market price, you may pay a lot more than the mid price. But as I say, I like it. If I'm honest, I've never come across a junior that's actually got cash flow, so I find that particularly exciting as well. So anyway, thank you very much for attending. I hope you've enjoyed it and you found it useful. And if you've got any questions, please contact me or Chris, and we'll get back to you. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.